I've always pictured there's little gremlins in the computer with a pickaxe mining Bitcoin.
Hey everybody, welcome to Three Guys in a Pie podcast. I'm your host Jonathan, here with my co-host Gary.
Hello.
And our guest for this evening again, Aaron.
Is Piecoin a thing?
So that kind of leans into what you wanted to talk about on this week's episode.
Yeah, I've decided that I'm going to take money and put it into crypto every month, and that's when I realized I don't know anything about crypto, so we're talking about crypto.
Okay. Sounds like a revolutionary idea. Has that been done before?
I don't know. When you realize that we really are just three idiots sitting around a mic in your basement talking. But yeah, I was listening to the news this morning. Yeah, I know, shocker, right? And they actually had someone on who was talking about how she went from like a news coverage or a sports coverage for the news and became part of like this crypto mining company. Not on like a corporate level, but just like a mom and pop crypto mining endeavor. Yeah, it was kind of weird. But she was like, yeah, I mean, if you're not a boomer and you don't have like real estate or, stocks and like that kind of scares you and you're also broke, crypto is really easy to get into because you don't have to put a ton of money in for it to be profitable.
Yeah, that can be said for any kind of investment, though.
Well, and it kind of got me to think because I am routinely on the two opposite ends of the spectrum of either rolling in cash and fucking panhandling on the streets. So,
well, see, that just seems like poor financial management. Maybe you should hire a financial planner.
I'm unemployed for 4 months out of the year, dude. What do you want from me? I can only stretch it out for so long. So, it got me thinking I'd like to get into crypto, and then other than Bitcoin, I have no clue. Bitcoin and Doge. That's what I know. Doge. That's what I know.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to remind everyone that we are three idiots around a mic, as Gary so poetically put it. None of this is financial advice, or really any kind of life advice, probably at all. You shouldn't really treat anything we say as advice, probably. That's the advice.
Yeah, I'm the only one who has any kind of background in this because of my degree.
Yes.
I have some knowledge of this and what I've done personally on the internet. But like Aaron said, not financial advice. We are not financial advisors.
Three idiots around a microphone in a basement.
You probably shouldn't listen to anything I say. I'm probably going to be wrong with at least some of this. I tried to prepare as best I could.
I'm wrong on a weekly basis on the podcast.
But you talk with confidence, so nobody would know.
Yeah, like that tree you were talking about. I couldn't find any tree. Like, there's a sudden branch loss syndrome, but it has nothing to do with barometric pressure.
You remember it, right?
Yeah, okay. It's a real thing. When you said you couldn't find it, I was trying to find it online and couldn't find it either.
Yeah,
anything about it.
And like when you sent me that text, I asked Dad because we were in the truck on the job, and I was like, "Do you remember the name of that tree that just randomly drops branches? When it feels like a hurricane's coming?" And he's like, I remember the tree, but I don't remember the name. And I'm like, right? Like, this definitely existed.
I was actually trying to, look up stuff about Big Munson Island to try to find, will people know what the species and shit?
You know what?
I couldn't find it.
Somewhere on an SD card, my dad has the entire recording of the best PowerPoint presentation ever given.
And it'll be on there. Okay, yeah. So when
I'll
that
have
happens,
to find it,
we'll bring you that update on the information.
Side note, that SD card also has at least half of our fishing day endeavor before the skies opened up and tried to kill us. But that's a conversation for another day. We're talking about crypto and why everyone listening should put all their money into Dogecoin.
Don't listen to Gary. Don't put your money into Dogecoin.
I'm just being facetious.
So the three main types... Oh my god, you pronounced the word right.
I know. I just can't think about it. Anyway.
So the three main types are digital assets, tokens, and coins. This is probably where I'm going to be the most wrong. For the sake of this discussion, we're just going to completely ignore digital assets. Those are like NFTs and things like that.
Oh, okay. It's not... The things that are really bad for the environment.
No. Small building blocks.
To preface this episode, I asked Jonathan to explain what crypto is to me like I was 5 years old.
Yeah, I've had 12 hours to prepare.
Not even.
Especially because I was working for most of those.
Yeah, so this is our half-assed attempt. Go ahead.
So, the biggest one you think of, most people think of is Bitcoin when you talk about crypto.
Yeah.
Which that is an actual crypto asset. Those are usually mineable. So, why don't we get a baseline? What do you guys know about Bitcoin?
I know that you can use graphics cards to mine it. You basically become part of a block where you're running algorithms for a certain amount of a coin at any given moment in time. And it's a currency that's basically backed by the amount of power is put into mine said coin.
Kind of,
Kind of, but not really.
That's surprisingly accurate.
And I also know that it's fairly untraceable to an extent, which is why drug dealers and human traffickers use it.
A lot of cryptos in general, specifically Monero. That one's one made specifically for that kind of purpose, but yeah. Like, what all do you know, Aaron? What is your knowledge coming into this, just to give everybody
As far as I'm concerned, they're made-up internet monies. I understand that it has like a, blockchain, ledger, or something or other technology, that it is, you can't forge coins, you can't like make counterfeit coins. It has some sort of rule set and keeps track of transactions and stuff, so like if somebody else is sending you Bitcoin or whatever, that it's actually Bitcoin and whatever. So I understand there's like some sort of system in place to make the whole thing work, but it's basically like a national currency for the world that nobody controls or regulates,
and is backed by nothing but power.
I think it's a scam.
To say it's backed by power is... I said that at one point, and it is true to an extent, because the people mining it aren't going to be mining it if it costs more for them to mine it than it does for the power, which is the main consumption. And so, like, that does drive price a little bit in the case of Bitcoin. That's not true for all cryptos. So one thing you were saying earlier, Aaron, was that like the ability to just print it infinitely, essentially, like when you're saying like mining. Mm-hmm. And that's true for things like Dogecoin. Like certain coins can be mined infinitely, but in the case of Bitcoin, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. Every 210,000 transactions, the amount of Bitcoin you get is halved for successful block completion. And then the last halving, there's 6 total.
Let's hold on. Let's take this a step.
Yeah. So
back.
Hold on. So my understanding when people say crypto mining, right, is they're using computing power to do something with the blockchain algorithm, crap, and it basically is what they're basically using their computer power to record the transactions and essentially maintain the system, right? Because for this system to work, there has to be an idea of what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I plan on explaining that.
Yeah, and I really like your funny words, Magic Man, but when you said every 210 transactions...
210,000 transactions.
There's...
blocks, technically.
Okay, so what exactly do you mean by, the blocks?
Okay, so...
get a little bit more rudimentary.
So, I'm going to explain it... The best explanation I've heard for Bitcoin specifically was from 3 Blue 1 Brown. He's a math YouTuber. Nerd. But, so, say we all wanted to keep a ledger of how much money we owe each other.
Oh, God. I don't want that to exist.
So, we make a website to keep track of every transaction.
Right.
So, if you owe me $10, you'd be like, Gary pays Jonathan $10. And, Aaron pays you $5. And, you keep running total. And at the end of the month, we all pay each other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You tally that up. So maybe you'll be left owing Aaron $5 and I'll owe Aaron $5. So then we would pay him $5 and all those other transactions wouldn't need to happen.
I'm wondering what we would do that we would owe Aaron $5.
Yeah, if anything, I owe both of you money.
I was just trying to come up with
I know. It was just fun.
But so anyone can add lines to the ledger.
Right.
So you could go onto the website and be like, I paid Aaron $10. Or I could go on and say,
right,
you paid me $10. It usually wouldn't be how it happened. It would be the person who's doing the paying doing it. And then they would sign it. Now, what that would look like is, I don't know if you're familiar with cryptography at all. No. So you'd have a private key and a public key, or a secret key and a private key. So you, depending on how you want to abbreviate it. But you would keep one and only you would know that. And then the public key would be disseminated to everyone. So you would...
Username and password.
Kind of. Not really, though.
So let me take a shot at this. The private key, the one that you have, is to maintain your crypto wallet?
No. Yes.
I tried.
Yes. Yeah. Private keys are used to maintain wallets, but that's not... In this situation, that's only somewhat true. So every time you put a transaction on the ledger, you will sign that transaction, saying authorizing just like imagine
like
a digital signature. It'll
right.
be, in this case, it'll be a series of ones and zeros because everything is
Binary.
done in binary with
So is that signature your
256
private
bits.
key?
No.
Is that what you're signing it with?
No, you're not signing it. The signature is a mix. There's a lot of math behind this. Knowing the math's not important, but it's essentially a mathematical function that takes the message and your private key and creates a signature that can be verified with the public key, but can't be recreated without your private key.
Okay, so it is in essence a digital signature, only it's made through almost like an algorithm because it's a mixture of your public and your private key, and it's unique to you.
It's not a mixture of that. It's a mixture of the message and your private key, and it can be verified with the public key.
Right, but it's still unique to you.
Yes.
So it is,
and it'll be unique to every transaction too.
Okay, so it
like
changes.
The same.
Okay.
Well, no, it would actually technically be the same for like if you were to do.
It's a type of encryption.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's a type of encryption, and what would happen is like if you paid me $100, you would sign off on that. And what would stop me from just copying and pasting that, because like that message with your private key would have the same signature, but the way the ledger, or what we'll move forward calling it the block, it would have every transaction has a unique identification code associated with it. So that's part of the message. So that way, like Gary gives Jonathan $100. Gary gives Jonathan $100. Even with the same private key, the signatures will be different.
I assume it's like time-stamped or something. That
it depends on the network and stuff. It could be something as simple as just adding a 0 or a 1 before them. And that would change them enough. Like some string of characters before it, counting sequentially up. The way the encryption works, even minor changes in the message creates a very different signature.
Sure.
Okay.
So the only way you could guess my private key, or the only way you could figure out my private key is by guessing it, which is incredibly computationally difficult.
Yeah, it's computationally nearly impossible.
Yeah, it's usually an incredibly large prime number because the way prime factorization, because of how computers work, is difficult for computers to do. So you usually want your private key is usually produced using prime numbers. Now, I wrote my whole freaking thesis on this. You'd think I'd remember it a little bit. But, and like, again, that's not very important in this.
It just
but that's
you
understanding that's like the basics. So
Right.
That's what provides the level of security for that.
It's just kind of neat seeing you nerd out about this. Honestly, I'm enjoying this. It's been enough attacking me on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how this goes. So when you start bringing this out, the reason we say like cryptocurrencies are decentralized finance is because not just one person holds that ledger. Everyone keeps track of that ledger,
right.
and that ledger is broadcast to everyone. So
do you lose privacy when you use cryptocurrency?
No,
Kinda.
you get more.
Because
nobody knows who the nodes are.
Yeah, but they
Depending on the cryptocurrency.
So my understanding is they would have access to your entire transaction history, but they don't know
it's just
who's
gibberish
behind it or who's like who you're
or
sending
what it's
it
going
to.
to.
They would know like this node gave money to this node,
node.
but they don't know who those nodes are.
or for what
either
purpose.
is.
Okay.
And in case of Bitcoin, not all cryptocurrencies are like that. There are some where they're not anonymous.
Right.
But I don't think those are very common. But like the big ones, I'm pretty sure Bitcoin and Ethereum are both like you don't know.
Because I always thought that was
nodes.
one of the big things that made crypto blow up. Like at the beginning, is like people like the idea that no one entity is in control, right? So from a monetary, nobody can just print more and blah blah blah, and then obviously the anonymity, right, is a big sell for people. Like internet nerds and computer geeks, like who
and criminals,
got into this originally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right, the early adopters are the computer nerds that are reading up on all this cool stuff that's happening, and then they're like, "Wow, this is awesome!" And then they jump in, and then they're all rich.
I could have fucking had Bitcoin for $13 a coin.
I could have had Bitcoin at fractions of a penny a coin.
Oh my god!
Someone was telling me about Bitcoin when it was still you were just mining empty blocks.
Oh wow!
And you would get 50 Bitcoin per mine because it was before the first halvening.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
How much money would you have now?
It depends on how many Bitcoin I actually would have mined. 50. Even had you successfully mined one block, 50 Bitcoin now is $1 million.
Last time I checked, it was selling for
just
it was
over $1 million.
38. Well, 50 Bitcoin at, let's do some quick math.
At 40, it's $2 million.
I don't even know what the price is. But in any case,
It's just about 40.
so we know a little bit about how it works, and I understand
$1,900,000.
I understand the appeal of using these currencies, I guess.
Well, yeah,
But I'm not on board.
I haven't fully gotten into the. We're about halfway through the actual.
Yeah,
Base
not to like take it too much away from your explanation. I do want to kind of break it
not
up.
even halfway. It's almost done.
I don't want to take too much time away from your explanation. I do want to break it up a little bit because it is a lot of technical jargon.
It is very.
So to try and chop it up and make it. The reason that I used to be against crypto, which was weird because a lot of people on my side of the fence are usually very into crypto. Like we're very much into like decentralized currency and things like that. That way we're not like shackled to like a government structure kind of deal. But what made me more interested in it is that it definitely seems like the currency of the future. And like when you're playing like sci-fi video games, it feels a lot like, like the Imperial credit, like to use like a Star Wars reference, or like to use a newer reference like for Cyberpunk, it feels like a Eurodollar, like where it's the entire world uses it, and like it is backed by something. And I guess in those worlds, in those stories and things, it is centralized, but it is neat. And I can definitely see a future where we're all using something kind of like cryptocurrency. Maybe not soon, but eventually. So with talking about cybernetics and like futurism stuff and transhumanism and all that stuff in the past, I figured it would be a neat topic to discuss. Well.
I don't know. I'm probably a little too cynical and skeptical about stuff in general, but I struggle to see the future where people do widespread adoption of cryptocurrencies. And I'm sure most of my reasons and sticking points are unfounded, but I'm going to have it.
Yeah, and we're actually kind of almost there. Like with the way we do banking now, we're moving towards a more crypto-like environment. Like you could have a cryptocurrency that's released by the US government that they still regulate. It's just because all cryptocurrency is it's operating on that blockchain.
Okay, yes. I guess if that's the only definition, then yeah, okay, I can it'll happen in the future at some point. But
yeah.
Cryptocurrencies as people currently think of them, I'm very skeptical of.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think because crypto is becoming more mainstream, and like it's weird saying that when Bitcoin is like $50,000 a coin, but like even that, like
isn't it like half that right now?
No, it's 38,000.
No, it's 38,000.
I checked the price earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, but like
40,000 earlier today.
But a couple months ago it was 50,000 a coin.
Yeah, it was up to 60.
Right,
it was up to 63.
So with it being that expensive and still being somewhat fringe. Like, that's crazy.
I wouldn't call Bitcoin fringe.
Well, no, I'm not saying Bitcoin itself is fringe, but the whole idea of cryptocurrency. It's kind of like I don't want to use an actual financial term, but I don't know if there's any better way to describe it. It's almost like there's a crypto bubble where it's going to grow and grow and grow and grow, and it's going to pop. Right. Right.
So for me, I have a couple questions. So you need Bitcoin miners to maintain the net or the ledger or whatever it is.
This is why I wanted to finish this explanation because it gets into that and it's hard to explain without that basis.
I think we should continue with
that.
So
let's get back to the explanation then.
So we left off where like we all are receiving receiving transactions. We're broadcasting these transactions out. So you need a way of verifying if that's just bullshit or if these are actual transactions you're receiving.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to maintain a list of these transactions.
That's your block.
Yeah, that will become the block. The way Bitcoin specifically works is it trusts the block and the blockchain with the most work done because of the
way it was designed.
Yeah, because of the reliance on encryption, you always want to have the one with the most work because that is the most likely to be correct. So, because the way you verify a block.
So hold on, what do we say? Not the blocks that did the most work. The what's it? What was the word you used?
It would be
the machines.
The block with the most with the most work in it.
And are those going to be miners in general? Is that what that means? Work is like
it's the community of miners.
It's the ledger with the most transactions. So the blockchain so if you're getting like 2 blocks that you're like getting broadcast to you, or if you're looking at So you'd only ever be looking at one, like, complete blocks once they're added to the chain. And it's possible for chains to branch. You would only ever consider the one with the most blocks in it. So if you are looking out at the network and you see two chains, one that has 10 blocks, obviously it's way more at this point, but one that has 15, you would trust the one that has 15 blocks and ignore the one that has 10. So that the one with 15 blocks would be considered the blockchain.
It's almost like work experience. If you have two potential employees, one of them has 10 years of experience and the other one has 7, odds are you're going to go with the one with 10 years of experience.
Yeah, because the way you finish a block, because for Bitcoin, blocks are limited to, I think, 2,100 transactions per block. So once you reach 2,100 transactions on a block, you have to finalize that block. And for Bitcoin, it happens every 10 minutes. Different cryptocurrencies have their blocks refreshed at a certain rate. That 2,100's completely arbitrary. It's just what was set in the code. And a lot of people don't like that. It creates some problems for widespread adoption in the future. But once that's finished, what actual Bitcoin miners are is they're trying to find a number that meets a certain criteria with that blockchain. So you would look at the blockchain as a number, and there is a particular number that manipulates that in a certain way that gives us a very specific pattern. So the way the 3 blue, 1 brown explains it is there is a number that I don't even know if it's possible for there to be multiple, but there are very few, that when you put them through the computation process, like for example, the first 30 digits are 0 followed by a 1. So the first person to find the number that meets that criteria gets the reward for the block, and that block is solidified with that hash. That number they find is called a hash.
Okay.
So, and that's why it's important to always trust the largest block, because say Gary wanted to defraud someone, he could create
Makes sense.
He could create a false block and disseminate that block.
So when you say create a false block, you, in this case for Bitcoin, it would be making a ledger of 2,100 transactions that are just made up.
Yeah, not even necessarily 2,100, but at least some of them are transactions that didn't actually happen.
Okay.
That you want, like people paying you money that didn't pay you money is probably how you would set it up. And you would find that hash and you would distribute that block. So in order to successfully keep that fraud up, you would have to be the one to find that hash for every subsequent block, because no one else is operating based on that last block you just put out.
Oh, okay. So you're basically it's like a false alarm hash in a way. Like it's not real according to the rest of the blockchain.
Yeah, everybody else is looking at it and they know it's not the oldest one.
Okay.
Or not the oldest one, but it's not the longest ledger, because people were also hashing based on that before.
But if this was a completely made up block, why would anyone else be solving it? Or how does this? I don't quite understand.
It's all part of the checks and balances.
You're trying to so
a block is complete, and then whoever solves it the fastest gets the reward. That's what you were saying.
Yeah.
But it's
so
for
there's
that
some
entire
sort of
block.
space where these blocks that are full but not finished or proofed or whatever are. For people, how does this?
That's getting into a detail that they didn't even go to in the video, and I don't fully understand how blocks get compiled and brought out. All I know is that I guess in order to make a fraudulent block, you'd have to add transactions that aren't there, which means you have a different block than what everybody else was trying to hash. Is how I assume this works. So once they find the correct hash for theirs, in order for you to keep up your false chain, you would have to get the next block, which doesn't have to be fraudulent anymore. You could be hashing the same block, but you have to keep ahead of everybody else in the network.
It's kind of like if you had 30 people in a room and they're all working on one big long math problem, and 29 people are doing the problem right, and there's this one asshole that's just like, oh yeah, I got the answer, it's 6. He's banking on none of the other 29 people actually doing the work for what he came up with.
Not really, because the hash they find is technically correct for their false block.
Oh, so they're just making shit up.
Yeah, they're trying to make up a hash.
Okay.
They're trying they're trying to make up transactions that they then find the hash to. And the reason, so the long and the short of this, you have to have 50% of the computational power of the entire network in order to be able to fraudulently create blocks, which is almost impossible.
So I don't understand though. how do people know that like the shorter change or whatever potentially fraudulent are wrong? Like, how does the system know this? Like, I just conceptually, I'm just trying to figure out if it's like we have a bunch of I don't know, the blocks are just like, say, toys or something, and you're wrapping them up with a bow, and that's what the hash is. You're basically packaging. And then you stack them into a present stack, and that's the chain.
I think it's because everybody else was already working on another block. So, like, when you create a fraudulent block, you're not working on a block of real transactions.
Okay.
So everybody else is working on what's actually occurring on the network, whereas you're trying to put out a false block and then subsequent blocks following that up.
That's good enough for now.
The long and the short of that is it can't be done without 50% of the computational power. If you reach more than 50% of the computational power, you could theoretically generate false blocks.
So if I was like a super mega corporation that owns more than half the computers in the world or whatever, I set them all to mining Bitcoin.
So China.
I don't even think China has enough.
You might have to redact that. That might be inflammatory. YouTube might not like us.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is like that is what forms the security basis of this. Is it pretty much can't be done. Like you can't create fraudulent blocks because you need so much computational power that people would, because you can also see who all is mining. Because generally there's like mining groups now because it's way harder to mine a block, but like it would become very obvious if someone had that much computational power and they were all using it and creating false blocks. Someone would probably catch on to that pretty quick.
So that's how Bitcoin works. How do you explain something that we've all been doing now? Aaron's a little bit newer to it than me and you.
Huh? He's talking about Pi.
Yeah, I'm moving into Pi.
I haven't gotten around to doing the account yet.
And like so I'm talking about Pi kind of to transition to, so what makes a good crypto? Like, what makes a crypto worth investing in? Because we got Bitcoin and we have Ethereum. Those are like the two most well-known.
Yeah,
I mean, there's Dogecoin now,
Nano.
but like...
So...
Litecoin.
I saw that on Reddit today, I think. That was the one, right?
Nano?
And I'm like, yeah.
Nano's one of the most popular now, I think. And for people who are actually interested in seeing cryptocurrencies be adopted as a currency, Nano is.
So I guess let me backtrack a little bit here. So I understand why logically it makes sense that, say, Bitcoin system isn't perfect and or could be greatly improved upon as people figure out how this stuff works and what is good and what's a good system, what's a bad system, and whatever. Because I know at least recently Bitcoin's been, people don't like it as much because of like they say it takes a ton of power and wastes a ton of stuff and there's a lot of redundancy and whatever. So I can understand people wanting to create new cryptocurrencies that are more efficient or just faster, better, whatever.
But there are a plethora of shit coins.
Every time I see something on Reddit that's like a crypto thing and it's like, oh, we're a new subreddit and we're giving away all this random coin I've never heard of until I saw this post. Then I'm like, this feels like a scam.
Well, and it's funny you say that because when I first heard about Pi, it was sent to me by a friend of the family, and my dad was trying to get me into it. I'm like, dude, this looks like a scam. This feels like it's just going to corrupt your phone until it's fucking useless.
It's just an experiment to make people randomly tap a button.
Yeah.
Time intervals.
And I sent it...
How long will they press the button before they wonder why they're pressing the button?
And so I sent it to Jonathan. I'm like, hey, you know more about crypto than me. Is this legit? And I fully expected him within 5 minutes to text me back, no, it's a scam, don't trust it. To my shock, he was like, oh no, it seems pretty legit. And then he started a fucking Pi thing. I'm like, well, shit, if Jonathan's doing it, my dad's doing it, well, fucking I gotta get in on it. So then I'm like, fucking press the button, monkey. Like, let's go.
We spent all that time talking about ledgers and blocks, and Pi doesn't work like that.
I'm sorry. I really am.
I know. Most cryptocurrencies do work based on that. There's still a ledger with cryptocurrencies like this. It's just not verified the same way. You don't have someone sitting at a computer churning through CPU to find a hash to hash the function. As you have for Pi in particular, and it sounds like it's how Nano works too, you have a group of trusted nodes. Mm-hmm. I think Nano works slightly different than Pi, but you create nodes that you know are people, and every node, like nodes are able to vouch for other nodes.
Okay.
So like I'm saying that these other 5 people in the case of Pi, they're all humans. They're also part of the network. And it uses that network as a like I'm assuming what happens, it's been a while since I looked at it, and it didn't go into like full like blow by blow detail of how exactly it works, but I'm guessing everybody is keeping a ledger on their own phone or some way like that, and since they know they have all these verified humans, you would need to, like, same thing with Bitcoin, you'd have to have more than 50% of the network faking a ledger in order to like create any kind of fraud. So you have a bunch of verified people that you know you're all trusting, and no one's going to try to change the ledger fraudulently.
Right.
So you'd have to have a ton of people who are trying to fraudulently alter the network. I could be completely off with that. I don't fully understand. All I know is it works based on trusted nodes.
Yeah, because you earn more Pi when your security circle
and
is larger.
That's what the mining is
cap,
for this.
I think.
Yeah, you can only have 5 in your circle.
Oh, I have like 10.
You can have more referrals, but they don't impact as much as
that reminds me, I have to add
circle.
Laura. I didn't know she was doing it too. I gotta add her to my team.
But you can only have 5 people in your...
I only have 3 in my team, but in my security circle I have, I think, 7.
Oh, yeah, but...
Yeah, they divvy it up really weird, which is why I so thought it was a scam. Because it's just like, yeah, and you invite more people and you can become an ambassador. And then you can invite people to be part of your security circle. And then it's like, whoa, earn more Pi. Like, it just feels very much like a 90s scam. Like, from the early days of the internet.
Well, the best thing with it, and why I wasn't worried about encouraging people to do it, is because it costs literally nothing.
Yeah.
You sign up using my code.
Yes.
Fuck.
If this podcast is
You
good
have
for
more
anything,
people than I do.
You
So.
No, I only
finally-
have you and I. My
finally
You
got
said you
me
had
on
10
board.
people.
in the security circle. It's
Anyway,
I
that's off.
Yeah,
that
it
could be
is, yeah.
off podcast.
we can add a link to that. We're using my
Yeah,
link.
but like that's another way they can work it, and I think that's like because Nano, there's no more mining. All of the coins that are
out there.
ever going to be are out there.
Okay, so I guess that brings me to my next question: is what if everyone stops mining? Does the system break down?
Yep.
How does Nano work then? If
I don't know.
Oh,
Like as I was saying, I'm pretty sure it works on a series of trusted nodes. So you're like, I could be wrong, but I would imagine if that is how that works, if the number of users drops sufficiently, someone could just start fraudulently creating transactions. But Nano does work. I know from what I've looked at, Nano works different than Pi, so it's not exactly the same.
Okay.
It seems like you nominate someone to like vote for you, sort
I don't
of.
know. Okay, well,
But-
okay. So back to Bitcoin then. So you need miners to maintain the system and make it function.
Yes.
And you said every so many transactions or whatever, the amount of Bitcoin you earn for a mining action is cut in half.
Yep.
So as more people use Bitcoin, that's happening at a faster rate.
Yes.
Right, and I assume the difficulty to mine stays the same, but the amount you earn is getting cut in half repeatedly?
From what I understand, it actually doesn't speed up because unless something changed, a block is processed every 10 minutes, and although that could be a variable number, but I'm pretty sure it's not, and it's every so many blocks. So it should be a set time period, but there is some variability in that, and I'm not sure why.
Okay, because I guess I thought when you said the 2,100 or 21,000, whatever, transactions or whatever, so I figured, like, if you have 10 million people transacting every day, like...
So, the way it was explained to me is that a block can only be created every 10 minutes, which is one of the big problems of it. Because you can only have, like I said, a certain number of transactions on a block, and if you're only having a block every 10 minutes, that limits your transaction throughput.
Oh, okay. That I didn't understand.
That could all technically be changed. That's completely arbitrary.
That's
in
all
the
code, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all part of the code. So if it is restricted every 10 minutes, you're going to be having at a fixed rate. It's not going to speed up, really.
So what?
But at the end of the day, you're eventually going to get to the point where miners aren't earning anything.
So what makes a crypto a good crypto then?
Popularity.
Really?
Well, and like sound fundamentals, but
It's a scam.
Well, because like that's why like Dogecoin and other shit coins like fucking what was it? Waifu coin was the one I saw. That's a great one.
Dogecoin is a pump and dump that went to an extreme. There is no real practicality from what I can tell in Dogecoin.
Hold on.
Cum rocket.
Oh god.
That's another
I
coin.
I'm very skeptical about all cryptos, But so what you just said there's nothing behind Doge. There's no, right? There's no,
It's not that there's
no
nothing.
value.
It's not that there's no value. You can use it the way you use Bitcoin, but my biggest concern with Dogecoin is that it doesn't have a cap like Bitcoin does. Like, miners will constantly get the same amount in perpetuity. So there is no, like, with Bitcoin, there's only 21 million Bitcoin.
So as the price of Dogecoin increases, there's going to be more people mining, and the amount of money they make mining will go up as the price of Dogecoin goes up, which means
as the amount of Doge
they want to
goes
mine
up.
more and more and more and more. Okay. I kind of
Yeah, because unlike Bitcoin, there's no halving events. So you always get the same amount of Bitcoin, and there's no cap. So there's an infinite number of Bitcoin, whereas there will only ever be Dogecoin. There's an infinite number of Dogecoin, but there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin.
And it's interesting because Pi recently was talking about when they're going to have their halving event.
Yeah, theirs is just...
I didn't read too much into it.
They're trying to... They don't want to have an infinite supply. They want to have a set number. They just don't know what that number is yet.
And they're also working... They have some people in... trying out their Pi wallet in alpha right now.
Yeah.
Where you can where you can use Pi for fake transactions.
Yeah.
Just to ensure that it works.
They're trying to get the actual ledger and block system fully ironed out is what it sounds.
And I guess it was 3 guys who had, and that was the other thing that made me like super sketchy, was one of the huge selling points for Pi was it was created by 3 Harvard graduates, and it's just like, okay, yeah, that's great. That doesn't really make me feel like you are legit. It just makes me feel like I'm getting scammed.
So, but again, though, to the Bitcoin mining. So, if the amount you're getting is less over time per same amount of computing power, right? So it gets more expensive to mine, and so that's what you're saying. The price of Bitcoin will generally keep rising because if it's no longer profitable to use the electricity and the computing power to mine Bitcoin, people will stop mining it.
Yeah.
And so like it is kind of forced to rise at some rate.
Yeah. In a way, yeah. I don't know how, like, obviously it's profitable. So
But it is less profitable than it was? No, because like you were saying, it's harder to mine.
I don't know. I don't know what the margins are for these mining companies.
I wasn't sure.
It's harder to mine because there's more people mining. It's not any computationally more difficult, but you have to, in order to successfully mine a block, you have to do it faster, which means you're competing with more people who are also running random chance odds. So it's like the odds of winning the lottery, except the more people who play the lottery, the lower your odds are.
So to get away a little bit from the more technical stuff as we go into our last couple minutes of the podcast.
Oh boy, we might get a second episode of this, right?
Maybe,
I don't think so.
maybe not now, but maybe at a later date. I feel like we definitely need to have a Lou on because Lou.
Really get into
I don't know
my
about crypto.
points.
Yeah, I don't know so much about crypto, but I know you also wanted to talk about meme investing.
I thought we wouldn't have enough time to fill the hour out. So.
I knew for a fact we would. But to kind of fill our last couple of minutes here, if you would be so kind,
We
and
still
if you
have almost 20 minutes.
do we really?
Yeah.
We could easily. Oh, I'm not done.
I like what time did we start recording?
Don't worry about it,
yeah.
Gary. This is all getting cut. You're just padding out the timer.
Yeah, I'm just padding out the time.
Making more editing work.
Yeah, make Jonathan work harder.
Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome. But honestly, if you are at liberty to say, because I know you do investing in, like, he might not want to talk about where he puts his money, just throw that out there on the internet. But I was going to ask him if he wants to share, like, what you put money in or what you think putting money into as far as crypto goes.
I would suggest Chainlink, which is I'm not going to suggest anything. But what I have been looking to put money into is Chainlink, which I haven't done yet because it's not available on all platforms. That's a token, not a cryptocurrency. So that's functions differently. Bitcoin, obviously, and because I like memes, Dogecoin. I see that going up, but I don't see it staying up, so
that's super volatile.
I'm probably going to hodl
My Pop says
until it spikes and then sell.
Yeah, Pop's like, listen, if Doge hits $1, I'm selling every share.
I wouldn't even have that much. It's the sad part. Had I put $100 in when I first bought Dogecoin and like diamond hands it till it was really peaking, I would have made $18,000.
Yeah, I was gonna put $7 into Dogecoin when it was like 7 cents. I was gonna have 100 shares, And like,
No, it's coins.
oh, fucking whatever. Dude, okay, it's so hard. I haven't talked
It's like
about...
what my friend
the
Justin was
same
calling
difference.
a Dogecoin.
Dude, I haven't... Okay, to put this into perspective, I haven't seriously thought about stocks since I was in high school taking an economics class.
Well, don't worry, because
Like-
to me they're the same exact thing.
Well, it's...
Because cryptocurrencies aren't currencies. If they're not scams, they're assets. They're investment vehicles, or I don't even know
Well,
what that
For
what
right
that
now,
means.
they are.
But see, that's the thing. I don't know how how that's not always going to be the case because they're so volatile. Like, again, I'm not a big in crypto. I'm not actually tracking this, so maybe I'm wrong in some things. But to me, every coin I've ever seen is extremely volatile. Price goes up, price goes down. I think I don't know. I was reading the other day, a couple of them just tanked. 97% loss.
Those are
Just
probably
scams.
Yeah, if you want to call
Or
a pump and dump a
dumps,
scam,
yeah.
I wouldn't call a pump and dump a scam.
It's a
Pretty
tactic.
sure they're
Some
officially
people
called-
are making money on it.
somewhere. And mostly Elon Musk just has to stop opening his mouth, and cryptocurrency might be okay.
Keep opening his mouth.
But because these things are so volatile, I don't understand how they're going to become used as actual currencies.
So they're only volatile when you compare them to the price of the US dollar. If we were to use the US, if we were to have adopted something, say like Nano as a global currency, the US dollar would look incredibly volatile compared to the cryptos.
I don't know about that because the US dollar is one of the UN reserve listing currencies.
Yes, but in the case where the entire global economy switches over to a cryptocurrency, something like traditional currency would probably go away completely. But
So you're saying if
Except for black
we
market
get
stuff.
on the if we were to flip the situation and instead of the U.S. dollar being nearly universal in the world, it's some crypto coin being nearly universal. The fact that it's nearly universal will make it more stable.
yes, it's going to significantly decrease the volatility because
So
the problem
getting from where we are now to that point is the difficult part.
yeah,
I don't think we're even that far away from it, though.
I think
I'm
we are
not
for
saying-
a lot of reasons.
I'm not saying it's going to be,
widespread
next
adoption
year.
is a long way off.
You think?
Because the problem to me with a crypto coin, right, is why would a company accept payment for goods or services or whatever, right? Like a credit card, but for what? Oh, well, they have crypto credit cards, I think.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, I'm thinking about it.
But like,
honestly.
why would they accept payment in something like that unless they were going to like immediately convert it to something like the U.S. dollar? In which case, I don't really see the point of using.
Because so that is a very common
Because-
argument, and it's actually transaction fees by converting through crypto is actually cheaper in a lot of cases than it is using like a credit card or other transaction methods.
That I believe.
It's cheaper to convert to a cryptocurrency, transact in that cryptocurrency, and then transfer back.
Interesting.
So, especially in international transactions, it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. So
Oh,
that is
yeah,
an
I believe
incentive.
that.
And until, like you're saying, until it becomes widespread adoption, that is what companies will do. Is more and more companies will start accepting it. They'll just be instantly liquidating it.
Because it doesn't make sense to hold on to it for whatever, quarterly, some sort of budget if in 3 months it's worth 50% more than it is or 50% less
Less,
than
yeah.
when you, like, it's kind of useless in that case for firms.
You're right.
Yeah, they would most likely instantly liquidate. But you're also, when you're talking about widespread adoption like that, more companies accepting it, it also, a lot of people don't want to spend it because they know it's going to grow.
Yeah.
So companies might
what
also
I mean,
be
it's an asset.
incentivized to hold on to it till it grows and then sell. The transition's gonna be a weird one, and it would not surprise me if at some point we get like a US dollar coin, which we kind of already do.
Though things like that make a lot more sense to me because the other part of this whole thing is, like as we say, it's decentralized, and so no governing agency or body controls it or can set any kind of monetary policy. So from an economic standpoint, or at least a traditional macroeconomic standpoint, not being able to use monetary policy from like a governing standpoint is really bad for countries.
Well, see, here's the thing. When I think the world moves on to like cryptocurrency based like universal funds, it's gonna be like a UN coin. Like in the cyberpunk world, the euro dollar.
No, it's gonna be
Like-
adopted at the country level long before it's adopted at the
Well, right.
because you
I'm
already
saying-
have like Bitcoin as
Yeah.
a national currency.
Yeah, I'm saying
international
like
currency.
in the long run, like way, like it might not even be in parts of our futures, like, you know,
But
years.
Again, so because again, we touched on like the criminal activity, right? So if you have a completely anonymous transaction thing that you can use and say it's widely accepted and stuff, like that makes it really easy to launder money and stuff.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That's what people use it for, right?
Yeah. I still don't accept crypto for my illegal
Which
activities.
just seems like something countries of the world don't want to let just run rampant and unchecked.
Well, it's funny.
And I understand that how you said some cryptocurrencies don't necessarily have to give you the anonymity, so then I could see countries making their own. Countries making their own, so A, you're not completely anonymous, and B, so they can do monetary policy shit with it.
Yeah, and that's partly why China's actually cracking down on all their Bitcoin mining, because they realize that there's so many people in their country that are mining Bitcoin and they're using it to buy things and get access to things that you normally can't get in China.
Speaking of China, I'm pretty sure China has a national cryptocurrency now too. They have a China dollar. I don't know what it's called, but
China dollar. Poo coin.
I might not even be far off. Usually countries are not
very creative
when it comes to naming it. I'm pretty sure like when the US was talking about it, they're like US dollar coin.
CCP coin.
Tiananmen Square coin.
God damn it, Gary. Well,
now we're censored in China.
There's no need to censor the name China because you said it 10 times and it doesn't matter.
China.
But I don't know, because like if you have a whole international economic system powered by some crypto coin, and then again, I don't know why this would happen, right? But in theory, if everyone stopped using it or mining it or whatever, the whole thing would just stop.
Well, it's like the same.
It's like the US dollar.
Yeah,
if everybody stopped valuing the US dollar,
yeah,
it would stop being worth anything.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if every major financial institution in the world suddenly decided they weren't going to accept the US dollar.
There would be pandemonium in the streets.
No, but I don't mean not accepting it. Like, the system just doesn't work if, you know, like dollars are at least a physical thing you can trade. Like, you can trade bottle caps
as
and
long
rocks
as,
and other things like that.
Seashells.
But, like, because it's completely digital. Like, it has no physical presence, and I don't know. I don't like it.
None of my money has a physical presence right now.
All of my, or like 75% of all of my money has a physical.
I've got like $3 in my wallet.
I mean, I'm the same way.
Besides my assets, like, I guess my house is money, but
well, it's yeah.
It's not liquid. It's very much not liquid.
I got one.
I guess it's fair.
It would be one of those things, like, if you got to the point where it was widely adopted, the odds of a total collapse, everybody's like, nah, I'm not gonna do it anymore.
So,
but even like some sort of like cyber attack that like I don't know.
That just screws
anything up.
You would need to have more than 50%.
I don't even mean just that. It's stopping people from being able to access their wallets. Like just
that actually already happened.
Who
I forget to what bank, but people were trying to withdraw money and they couldn't. They wouldn't let them withdraw their money out of their bank account.
Wasn't that a couple of years ago?
No, it was like within the last couple months.
Oh, really? Now, here's one thing.
They had some kind of, I don't know if it was like a ransomware thing or what happened. But
no. So here's the thing, and I know we don't always, I know you in particular don't like talking about the what ifs.
We're talking about the what if you invested in crypto.
Well, right. But like, assuming that, you know, the entire world ran on like a centralized crypto, you know, one that was just, we all decided one day, we went out with our stone tablets and be like, we now only accept Dogecoin. All other coins will not be accepted. Thank you. And everyone in the world did that. And paper currency kind of fell by the wayside. Do you think we would see like a reversing of the roles where like all legitimate business is done in crypto and all like the shady backroom bullshit like drug deals and all that is still using like the old paper currency?
Probably not, because there's no value there. You would have to find some, unless there were some like intermediaries that
converted it
somehow. But like, why use paper currency? I guess because because the whole thing with paper currency is it has to keep getting updated, or it's very easy to counterfeit.
Right.
So you would need to find something that's hard to counterfeit.
Well, it kind of reminds me of like the John Wick movies, because in those movies they use gold coins for everything, but like the amount of gold that are in those fucking, because the coins are like this fucking big. They're gigantic gold coins. And like, it's 1 for 1. If you want one drink at the bar, it's one of those gold coins. Say you need to get rid of a body, it's one gold coin. It's
Yeah,
like, say you need guns. I need 30 guns, one gold coin. But like, it's not so much the monetary value of those gold coins, it's the, hey, I need a favor. I'm paying you a favor for this.
I mean, I'm not going to dismiss that because it's very possible that I could see gold becoming the standard of criminal activity.
Really?
Yeah, because it's hard to counterfeit.
Yeah. You got me there. Still haven't figured out the Philosopher's Stone. We've been working on that for like over 1,000 years.
Actually, no, I might be wrong there. It probably wouldn't be, actually in this day and age, it probably wouldn't be that hard to counterfeit gold. But
the problem with gold is the problem gold's always had. It's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So physically
Well, I
moving
just
it
mean-
around is a pain in the ass.
like having, just like creating something that has the same density as gold, because that's usually the go-to identifier for gold is you just, what's its density? Is that actually gold? But you could probably fake that fairly easily now. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes to something that's like super dense.
Lead.
No, probably not even that. It would have to be like the densest of the metals. I could see that being a thing. I forget.
Fucking
like,
criminals are trading in uranium.
Yeah, the densest and then they already do. But like the densest of the like non-radioactive, I could totally see that being a thing. I forget, what were we looking at for material science? We wanted to get some like super dense.
I swear
metal.
it wasn't like osmium, was it? Or tungsten was up there. I know that much.
Yeah, but I could see that being a thing. Things that are difficult to counterfeit. I don't think paper money will fall into that because, like I said, there's not going to be governments updating it. So eventually, someone will be able to replicate it to an extent that criminals can just forfeit it.
So I guess
Counterfeit it.
one more thought experiment again, because those whole crypto ledger shit works on requiring a lot of computing power to essentially fake your way into doing anything. It's not really feasible.
Yeah.
But how does that work with the potential of quantum computing?
Oh, it completely breaks it. That's what my thesis. That's more what my thesis was on. Was quantum computing's effect on cryptography?
'Cause that was my
it completely
understanding.
breaks it. There's some. Oh yeah, like Bitcoin down the toilet. They could fix it. There are quantum proof encryption algorithms, so they could theoretically fix it. It's
Okay.
not. It would break it temporarily.
So I guess the next...
As soon as a government would get a quantum computer, they would probably start doing the transition before more people. Because the thing with quantum computers is you're not going to just have mom and pop down the corner having a quantum computer right away.
Unless they're the inventors.
Yeah, honestly.
Well,
It's like fucking Doc Brown and Marty McFly.
And
Like,
that's another really interesting thing with inventions nowadays too, is that like you can't just come up with a quantum computer in your backyard. Like it's just not. There's no like eureka moment. I've cracked quantum computing. It's a lot more complicated than that.
even Doc Brown had to go through hoops. He needed to steal plutonium from the fucking... what was it, like... The Palestinians in the movie or something?
Whoa, that's...
It was
pretty sure
something...
I'm
Yeah, I
Libyan.
thought it was...
Oh, it was
oh,
Libyan.
Libyans. Okay, I was
sound the
close. Yeah.
All the ends.
So we should cut some...
Americans.
No,
They're all the
okay.
same.
So...
We're all peoples.
But my next question is like, so you could just take a couple programmers and they could just make whatever random coin they want using, and it just that's how these things pop up.
Yeah, that's why they're also worth like fractions of a
That's
cent.
that's the kind of
we should make it crypto.
okay, but like, so you said like they could update or change or alter Bitcoin's system.
Yeah.
Who does that? Like, how does that work? Like, is it just whoever originally did it? And they're
No,
just...
nobody knows who originally did it. No one knows who made Bitcoin.
That's interesting.
Yeah. No one knows who originally made Bitcoin. But yeah, generally the people who are in charge of it, I'm sure there's someone in charge of Bitcoin right now that would be able to make those differences. And there's also branches that occur, like Dogecoin is a branch of Bitcoin, and like there's other breakoffs of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, I think Litecoin might be. I'm not totally sure.
I think Litecoin is from the Ethereum family.
No, it's like yeah, that could be it.
It,
But, like,
it tells
they
you on.
branch.
It tells you in Robinhood.
Yeah, they take the base code. Well, and there's different. The tokens work on blockchains, but it takes they take the base code and make some kind of change to it, and it becomes its own cryptocurrency.
Oh, so it doesn't change the. It's not. So it wouldn't really be Bitcoin if they alter.
No, it could be because. So what I think what those from what I understand of the splits is someone wants to take it in a different direction, but the Bitcoin doesn't want to change. Like whoever's controlling Bitcoin doesn't want to change it, so they make the changes and they do a split. And whoever has holdings can choose which direction to go in that split. I don't know if it would most likely. If I think they could change it, but you're right. It might have to be a split where just everybody's like, okay, all aboard the new coin train. And because Bitcoin doesn't work because SHA-256, which I'm pretty sure it uses SHA-256, but like just because that got broken because quantum computing.
Okay, and again, with the Bitcoin thing, you're saying there's a hard limit on how many Bitcoins can exist, but we're not, it's one of those things where we're not going to reach it ever, right? Because it's
the
not
rate
that
at
we're
which
not
going to reach it ever. Well, it'll be like 2140 before we reach it.
Even if, like, you have 10 billion people using
Again,
it.
I don't think that speeds up the halvenings, though, because I'm pretty sure it's 21,000 transactions every 10 minutes.
Got it. So why would somebody in 2120 invest in Bitcoin if it's going to die in 20 years, right?
Because it won't. Because there's still transaction fees. So in order to get on that ledger, you can add another item that is essentially, I give the miner of this chain a certain amount of Bitcoin.
It's like a surcharge.
Yeah, it's like a transaction fee on a credit card. So once miners know, because eventually miners won't get any Bitcoin.
Because this is, again, the sustainability thing I've been wondering about. Like, how this works
eventually miners won't get anything for mining a block. And their only revenue will be from transaction fees, essentially. Where people, right now, they're completely optional. But in order for you to keep encouraging people to mine, you have to provide that. So once miners are no longer getting any Bitcoin from completing a blockchain, I'm assuming you're going to have people contributing.
Gotcha. That makes sense. That clears up some things.
It's like tipping your local miner.
Okay, all right. That was the sentence that was just said. And I guarantee you, many people out there are not going to think the same way as the way you thought of it as it left your mouth.
Gary.
Me and Aaron are sitting here like, oh my god, what did he just say? And
No,
you
I
had
didn't-
no.
No,
just you.
What?
Just you.
Wow, you guys are
Pure of heart, Gary.
Bullshit.
Pure of heart.
I've always pictured there's little gremlins in the computer with a pickaxe mining Bitcoin.
Alrighty, boys. Well, this was a fun and thoughtful discussion about Bitcoin.
Did we cover all your points, Aaron?
I think I got to most of them, yeah.
Awesome.
I
have to have a second episode now.
Yeah, we probably don't have a lot. Because, again, I didn't realize how far we were into the episode. But originally I was like, yeah, I didn't talk about, like, any of my questions or one. But, yeah, no.
This is also something I kind of wanted to put out there. I would like to revisit some episodes, kind of go in, like, especially some of our earlier episodes, like the transhumanism stuff. We didn't even get into half of the stuff that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I'd love to get some feedback. If you guys let us know.
Absolutely.
YouTube comments are a great way. They're a lot easier to check because I don't know how to check all the... I'm not very technologically savvy on all the platforms. I don't know what platforms allow commenting. It might only be YouTube.
YouTube, we can get 5-star reviews on iTunes.
You can get reviews on a lot of other platforms, but I think YouTube might be the only way to get comments.
Yeah. So we can get direct comments from YouTube. We can get reviews on the iTunes and the Google Podcasts or whatever.
Emails until this blows up, so forever.
Yeah.
We'll
now.
The email.
Do we have a PO box?
No, but we should get one.
No,
yeah, once we actually get fans, we can eventually get a PO box.
Yeah,
I just, because I'm not getting anyone's messages, they don't let me use the computer, so.
You're lucky if we let you upstairs to eat. But yeah, let us know if there's any episodes that you want us to go back and revisit or questions on things that we said in the episodes.
Yeah, I'm trying.
We can have like a Q&A episode almost.
Yeah, if we get enough. I'm always trying to keep up with the YouTube comments because, like I said, it's the easiest way for me to check, and I can keep on top of that. You know, I've had a couple people comment so far, and that's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, we did.
Helps when you guys like, subscribe, and ring the bell.
Oh my god, I'm gonna slap you.
Get out of here.
Gotta pump that algorithm.
Oh my god.
But no, it actually does really help. Like I've noticed since we started getting comments and it's starting to get out more, and
and it's
maybe
always,
we'll be able to have some interesting fan feedback episodes.
It's always kind of fun too because like I never really know what's going on in this bubble until we get it around to recording and we kind of talk about it because you haven't sent us any of like the the analytics in like a month.
How can you analyze a sample size of 1?
I let you guys know when large events happen.
Oh, okay. All right, good. All right.
When we get our first podcast over 7 listens, I'll make sure I let you know.
We're going to post the same
Last
picture.
episode didn't do well at all so far. I mean, it's only been up today.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Usually
we get 2 listens.
If you say we get less than 7 listens, though, like...
Usually we get 2 by the time I make it into work. But
really,
this last episode still has none. So
I wonder who those 2 listens are.
It's not me.
If it's you, let us know.
Yeah,
send us an email. I'd love to know.
Or tweet at us. We're on Twitter.
Twitter.
We are human beings.
Tweet
we have
at us.
Twitter. We also have a Facebook.
The links to the Facebook and the Twitter for all of you who've made it this far into this wonderful discussion.
Oh yeah,
they'll all be in the description for the podcast.
Or this whole thing will be cut. Who
And
knows?
we also had started talking. We're going to be using our Instagram a lot more, and so we're going to start posting random pictures. Probably one of the first ones is a picture of our recording setup, and you can witness that in all its glory and the microphone with a sock on it.